community. So lovely to have you guys. So I'm joined by Usha, Garima, Renu, and Meryl. And I warmly welcome everybody who may be also watching this video live on Facebook, or you are catching up on this recording, then warm welcome. And if you're live on Facebook, then don't stay there. Join us here in the room and discuss the book with us. So every Friday, what we do is the Online Money Book Club members come together, and we have been reading amazing books on personal finance, investing, habit, and mindset building. So throughout the week, we take a couple of chapters, we read at our own pace, and then on Friday evenings we come and we discuss, we share our insights, our learning, and then we also read certain portions of the book together and then make progress together. So for the past few weeks, we've been reading this amazing book titled The Psychology of Money, but by Morgan Housel. And, we are going to be kicking off into reading a new chapter today. But we will go back and discuss, reflect upon some of the fascinating chapters that we just finished reading. So welcome, everyone. And for anybody who's watching us live or recording and you want to join us, the description of this video has a link to join the Money Book Club on Telegram. So with that, let's begin. How's the week been for you? How much reading were you able to accomplish? And what are you getting from this book so far? Who wants to begin sharing? Go ahead, please.
I haven't really read up till chapter 6, yet to start chapter 6. But one of the things which I resonated well with me was, it's good to be optimistic about the future, but, having the mindset that, anything can go wrong anywhere. He says something about being paranoid about the obstacles. So I'm very optimistic about the future, but I'm always paranoid. Isme ye gadbad hone wala hai, wo hone wala hai. But the issue is, while he says that use it to improve the plan, I think mentally I get stuck. Ki acha agar ye hoga, then wo hoga, then the anxiety overlap happens one after another. So that is a cycle that I need to break. I'm over paranoid about the success.
You're stuck in paranoia. Yes. I can't do anything.
Yes. And so like it takes, I take 2 steps forward that, okay, I'm going to do Mimo. And then when I see, oh my God, it to kuch nahi bach raha hai, then I get into the paranoia and I stop doing it. But this year, I'm not doing that. So I've completed the wall chart. So I think I'm moving forward.
Yay. Awesome. Yes. Tiny steps, guys, tiny steps, right? But keep moving. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. And who else? How are you feeling about spending time with this book? And I do want to welcome Ninu and Ritika and Lavina who have joined in. Sure, Renu. Okay, Renu hasn't started with the Psychology of Money. So I am now getting confused between the 2 books that I'm reading, but Meryl, please go ahead.
So I have actually reached chapter 17. So what I do is, like, I start my day by reading this book. Okay. So before I do my work, I read it for like half an hour. And then other parts of the day, when I want to take a break from my work, again, I read it. So it's always open on my desktop, right? So chapter 16 was really interesting because it spoke a lot about like why do these bubbles happen, right? And I've lived through so many of them, like from the .com bubble, which affected my job, and then 2008 again affected my job, and then like it affects people's money and all of that, right? So it gives a very good understanding of how our own nature or our own identity as an investor can shift during these burst times, right? So he really talks about not changing your identity as not getting carried away and really being very, very aligned to who you are as an investor, right? So I found that very, very reassuring, because right now the stock market is a little choppy and it's easy to kind of get scared and all of that, and then change one's own approach or identity, right? So that was a pretty good chapter, and I'm looking forward to discussing those chapters more with everybody, because they all become a bit more abstract as well. So that's been my experience this week.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm just trying to see what is it that I have captured, because reading two books at this point doesn't seem like such a good idea.
There is a line that I really liked in chapter 4 that we were reading, that compounding. It's on the last page. It says good investing isn't necessarily about earning the highest returns, because the highest returns tend to be one-off hits that can't be repeated. It's about earning pretty good returns that you can stick with and which can be repeated for the longest period of time. That's when compounding runs wild. And this is something that we discuss very often, and he has mentioned pretty good examples in this chapter. I really liked this part of the book.
Thanks, Savina. And I will share what I shared last night from the book about, a plan is only useful if it can survive reality. And a future filled with unknowns is everyone's reality. A good plan doesn't pretend this weren't true. It embraces it and emphasizes room for error. And it made me think of, how and that's where I think I would go back to saying how these books are so they contribute in such a way in building each one of us as investors. We can be I think I may be swayed by, oh wow, look at that, my returns are really good this year, but I should remind myself that it is not going to be like this all the time. And where now I may want to be more when I look at the return percentage, and maybe I should just keep playing with the financial plan that I'm building and look at what is the rate of return, what's the worst that can get, or what's the number I would like to look at, because so far when we calculate, I may look at, acha, if I do 20%, then how much will I get, or how much will that number be? But I should really also look at being very, very conservative and say, if it just stays at 8%, then how would life look like, or how what are some changes I may need to do. At least I need to exercise my mind is what I'm getting, and not really be comfortable with that, even if the market says okay 15% average, but maybe I want to really look at just 10% average, and but keep that number in my awareness, in my existence, that it could be that if it does come to that, am I okay with that? So that's what I took away from that chapter, because every time I play with that compounding tool, I'm only looking at 15, 20, 25. But that may not be reality. That may be one-off. Yeah. Hi Anju and Pooja. Excuse my coughing, it's getting better.
Hi.
I think by next
Hello,
week it
everyone.
will go away. Hi, and hi Deepa, welcome. Nidhi. All right. So for everybody who's come in, we're reading The Psychology of Money. We've been sharing in the book club, and we will be reading the 7th chapter today together. So anybody who's been reading this book and would like to share some nuggets from the book that you've taken away, feel free to share it, and it can be from any of the chapters. So it looks like our community is now ready to read the book. The next chapter, I'm really excited about this one. Requesting volunteers. So who would like to read for the community? I will share the book on the screen. Yay, welcome Nino. Thank you, Lavina. Anju, we're reading The Psychology of Money. Open it up, sorry.
Reading the 6 or 7.
So chapter 7 today, we read till chapter 6. Chapter 7 is on freedom. Okay. Try to share screen now. Here you go. Lavina.
Chapter 7. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want to do today. People want to become wealthier to make them happier. Happiness is a complicated subject because everyone's different. But if there's a common denominator in happiness, a universal fuel of joy, it's that people want to control their lives. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. It's the highest dividend money pays. Angus Campbell was a psychologist at the University of Michigan. Born in 1910, his research took place during an age when psychology was overwhelmingly focused on disorders that brought people down. Things like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. Campbell Campbell wanted to know what made people happy. His 1981 book, The Sense of Well-Being in America, starts by pointing out that people are generally happier than many psychologists assumed. But some were clearly doing better than others. And you couldn't necessarily group them by income or geography or education because so many in these categories end up chronically unhappy. The most common denominator of happiness was simple. Campbell summed it up. Having a strong sense of controlling one's life is a more dependable predictor of positive feelings of well-being than any of the objective conditions of life we have considered. More than your salary, more than the size of your house, more than the prestige of your job, control over doing what you want, when you want to, with the people you want to, is the broadest lifestyle variable that makes people happy. Money's greatest intrinsic value, and this can be overstated, is the ability to give you control over your time. To obtain, bit by bit, a level of independence and autonomy that comes from upspent assets that give you a greater control over what you want to do and when you can do it. A small amount of wealth means the ability to take a few days off work when you're sick without breaking the bank. Gaining that ability is huge if you don't have it. A bit more means waiting for a job to come around after you get laid off rather than having to take the first one you find. That can be life changing. 6 months emergency expenses means not being terrified of your boss because you know you won't be ruined if you have to take some time off to find a new job. More still means the ability to take a job with lower pay but flexible hours, maybe one with a shorter commute, or being able to deal with a medical emergency without the added burden of worrying about how you'll pay for it. Then there's retiring when you want to do, instead of when you need to. Using your money to buy time and options has a lifestyle benefit few luxury goods can compete with. Throughout college, I wanted to be an investment banker. There was only one reason why. We made a lot of money. That was the only drive, and I was 100% positive that would make me happier once I got it. I scored a summer internship at an investment bank in Los Angeles in my junior year, and I thought I had won the lottery. This is all I ever wanted. On my first day, I realized why investment bankers make a lot of money. They work longer and more controlled hours than I knew humans could handle. Actually, most can't handle it. Going home before midnight was considered a luxury, and there was a saying in the office, if you don't come to work on a Saturday, don't bother coming back on Sunday. The job was intellectually stimulating, paid well, and made me feel important. But every waking second of my time became a slave to my boss's demands, which was enough to turn turn it into one of the most miserable experiences of my life. It was a 4-month internship. I lasted a month. The hardest thing about this was that I loved the work and I wanted to work hard. But doing something you love on a schedule you can't control, you feel the same as doing something you hate. There is a name for this feeling. Psychologists call it reactance. Jonah Berger, a marketing professor at the University of Pennsylvania, summed it up well. People like to feel they are in control, in the driver's seat. When we try to get them to do something, they feel disempowered. Rather than feeling like they made the choice, they feel like we made it for them. They say no or do something else, even when they have originally been happy to go along. When you accept how true that statement is, you realize that aligning money towards a life that lets you do what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want, for as long as you want, has incredible return. Derek Sivers, a successful entrepreneur, once wrote about a friend who asked him to tell the story about how he got rich. I had a day job in Midtown Manhattan paying $20 per year, about minimum wage. I never ate out and I never took a taxi. My cost of living was about $1,000 per month and I was earning $1,800 per month. I did this for 2 years and saved up to $12,000. I was 22 years old. Once I had $12,000, I could quit my job and become a full time musician. I knew I could get a few gigs per month to pay my cost of living, so I was free. I quit my job a month later and never had a job again. When I finished telling my friend the story, he asked for more. I said no, that was it. He said no. What about when you sold your company? I said no, that didn't make any difference in my life. That was just more. That was just more money in the bank. The difference happened when I was 22. The United States is the richest nation in the history of the world, but there is little evidence that its citizens are, on average, happier today than they were in the 1950s, when wealth and income were much lower, even at the median level and adjusted for inflation. A 2019 Gallup poll of 150,000 people in 140 countries found that about 45% of Americans said they felt a lot of worry the previous day. The global average was 39%. 55% of Americans said that they felt a lot of stress the previous day. For the rest of the world, 35% said the same. Part of what's happened here is that we have used our greater wealth to buy bigger and better stuff, but we have simultaneously given up control over our time. At best, those things cancel each other out. Median family income adjusted for inflation was $29,000 in 1955. In 2019, it was just over $62,000. We have used that wealth to live a life hardly conceivable to the 1950s American, even for a median family. The median American home increased from 983 square feet in 1950 to 2,436 square feet in 2018. The average new American home now has more bathrooms than occupants. Our cars are faster and more efficient. Our TVs are cheaper. And what's happened? Our TVs are cheaper and sharper. What's happened to our time, on the other hand, barely looks like progress. And a lot of the reason has to do with the kind of jobs most of us now have. John D Rockefeller was one of the most successful businessmen of all time. He was also a recluse, spending most of his time by himself. He rarely spoke, deliberately making himself inaccessible and staying quiet when you got his attention. A refinery worker who occasionally had Rockefeller's ear once remarked, "He lets everybody else talk while he sits back and says nothing." When asked about his silence during meetings, Rockefeller often recited a poem. A wise, a wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why aren't we all like that wise old bird? Rockefeller was a strange guy, but he figured out something that now applies to tens of millions of workers. Rockefeller's job wasn't to drill wells, load trains, or move barrels. It was to think and make good decisions. Rockefeller's products, his deliverable, wasn't what he had with his hands or even his words. It is what he figured out inside his head. So that's where he spent most of his time and energy. Despite sitting quietly most of the day in what might have looked like free time or leisure hours to most people, he was constantly working in his mind, thinking problems through. This was unique in his day. Almost all jobs during Rockefeller's time required doing things with your hands. In 1870s, 46% of jobs were in agriculture and 35% in crafts or manufacturing, according to economist Robert Gordon. Few professionals relied on a worker's brain. You didn't think, you labored without interruption and your work was visible and tangible. Today, that's flipped. 38% of jobs are now designated as managers, officials, and professionals. These are decision-making jobs. Another 41% are service jobs that often rely on your thoughts as much as your actions. More of us have jobs that look closer to Rockefeller than a typical 1950s manufacturing worker, which means our days don't end when we clock out and leave the factory. We are constantly working in our heads, which means it feels like work never ends. If your job is to build cars, there is little you can do when you're not in the assembly line. You detach from work and leave your tools in the factory. But if your job is to create a marketing campaign, a thought-based and decision job, your tool is your head, which never leaves you. You might be thinking about your project during your commute, as you're making dinner, while you put your kids to sleep, and when you wake up stressed at 3 in the morning. You might be on the clock for a fewer hours than you would in 1950, but it feels like you're working 24/7. Derek Thompson of The Atlantic once described it like this: if the operating equipment of the 21st century is a portable device, this means that the modern factory is not a place at all. It is the day itself. The computer age has liberated the tools of productivity from the office. Most knowledge workers whose laptops and smartphones are portables, all-purpose media-making machines, can theoretically be as productive at 2 p.m. in the main offices as at 2 a.m. in Tokyo WeWork or at midnight on the couch. Compared to generations prior, control over your time has diminished. And since controlling your time is such a key happiness influencer, we shouldn't be surprised that people don't feel much happier, even though we are, on average, richer than ever. What do we do about that? It's not an easy problem to solve because everyone's different. The first step is merely acknowledging what does and does not make almost everyone happy. In his book 30 Lessons of Living, gerontologist Carl Pilmer interviewed 1,000 elderly Americans looking for the most important lessons they learned from decades of life experience. He wrote, "No one, not a single person out of 1,000 said that to be happy, you should try to work as hard as you can to make money to buy the things you want. Not one, not a single person said it's important to be at least as wealthy as the people around you. And even if you have more than they do, it's still success. Not one, not a single person you said, no, not a single person said you should choose your work based on your desired future earning power. What they did value were things like quality friendships, being part of something bigger than themselves, and spending quality, unstructured time with their children. Your kids don't want your money or what your money buys anywhere near as much as they want you. Especially they want you with them. Filmer writes, take it from those who have lived through everything. Controlling your time is the highest dividend paying money pays. Now, a chapter on one of the lowest dividends money pays.
Pausing here. Thank you so much, Lavina. Okay. So, what's the vision that you're getting for yourself? All of us financially free women who have the power and control over our time.
Hi, Sheetal. I just so feel I'm so bad at this whole time management and it's really not worth the money. I want to run back to my son now and sit with him at home.
You wish you have the freedom now. Go ahead. Somebody else was sharing. Shall go ahead.
One thing that is relating to me is like during my last job switch, I was so nervous, what if I don't get the next offer? So it was that situation where I was so stressful. So probably by the next job switch, right, I'm not going to worry about the money. I'm going to have emergency backup for sure. Hopefully. Yes.
Yes, you will, Usha. Who else? I just love the first line. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. I feel like this is a chapter that I may want to read again and again until I get to the state of financial freedom.
I think it's so important because today, with our jobs, we actually are driven by the companies we work for. And yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that we all are planning our finances wherein one day, our money would make our own money and we'd sit at home and have some passive income. But otherwise, it's like we'll be driven like this for life. Today there's something, tomorrow there's something else. So I think it's wonderful. And I actually didn't know that there's so much written in this book. Now I'm really tempted to read it because it kind of relates to so many aspects.
And the best part is
On the ceiling that, I should wake up. Am I free to do what I want or not? That is going to be the mantra. You know, you read it and I need to do something about it because, like Ritika said, it looks like a bit of distant dream. You're so controlled by day to day office kind of stuff. But lovely opening line.
Yeah, I felt that part when it said, although you have came back from work, but like marketing jobs, but then too your mind is working 24 into 7. At midnight, you just wake up and find the solution to the code. Okay, we can apply this and this. And go, oh my God, it is still working. And sometimes we have the dreams of the same code, whether it is executing and the campaigns, are they running good or not? So that is really true. We are not free in this new world of technology, kind of working more than our 50s, our great fathers and the great grandfathers. So they had only 8 hours to work, but we have to work more to bring new things up.
I think, we don't talk, of course, in our circle now, we talk a lot about financial freedom. It's part of the context, but we may talk about bigger paychecks, right? But maybe not so much about financial freedom. And I think when we talk more about it, that's when we also a lot more of us will think about achieving it, I guess. um but yes, bigger paychecks. What else get discussed more than financial freedom and financial, like it is only after coming to Women on Wealth that I understood the difference between being financially independent and then having financial freedom. Also some we look at financial freedom as maybe, if we don't understand it well, financial freedom may be seen as having having a lot of money to do what I want, maybe to buy what I want. But then in the context of time, that it really gives us the time, and how every penny I save, every penny, that money generates for me, it's giving me more of my time back. So this equation about money and time, um again we I think it's so, we so commonly have heard them say that money is equal to time. But what does that even mean? Or this transaction that you give time and you get money, but when you save money, then you are earning time. So all this, the relationship, the relations which is going on here. And so, but yeah, one thing is coming out clearly for me is that we don't talk enough about financial freedom, and hence, so maybe we don't, when it's not in our existence, we don't even think about reaching that or aspire. What if we could have a world, we get to a world where more people want financial freedom, right? And then the moment they start earning, they're thinking about, how can I get quickly to a point where I am in complete control of my time. um Still, I think the traditional way, if I may say, or the conventional way of thinking is, how do I get that 10-20% hike each? No doubt, not discounting the fact that this is reality. It is these hikes that then get us to eventually. But if we start with this vision of how soon can I get financially free, and then do the things, create that difference in the world. So these are some thoughts that are coming to me now. Anyone who'd like to build on it, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I find like this is honestly one of my favorite chapters in the entire book. And I also feel like, like I felt like when we read Naval's book, most of it was dedicated to this only, just the idea of owning your time, right? And what I used to feel, especially when I was physically going to my job, is that I was so into it mentally that I would, it was like my whole mind space was invested into that job, right? But once I began working remotely, then I started, I don't know, like somehow I started thinking more and more of how to be very, very intentional with time. Like earlier, I had experimented with managing my time. Now I'm in that space where I want to own my time. And I do feel that you don't have to be financially free to do it. You can, like, there are many things that we do which can actually be just thrown out of our schedules, right? And some of them are like, we do them because it's a slight way to escape from the pressures, right, of life. And again, like, I find that doing this whole time, tracking time has really, really helped to build more of that ownership without being in that space of, how do you say, like financial freedom and all of that. But definitely I've been able to first take a lot of things off the plate, which then helps with, mental health and just mind space. And another thing that I found is just doing like one thing at a time and being like fully invested in it, right? So I'm kind of feeling more in that space of ownership of time. And again, that's like a bit of a 1% journey every day, right? So those are some of my takeaways. And then I think probably like when you're in that space of financial freedom, you actually know how to like enjoy life a lot more, because otherwise sometimes what happens is you finally have all this time and then you're like, okay, what do I do now, right? So I have also experienced a little bit of that as well as I stopped doing a lot of things. But yeah, those are some of my personal experiences in connection to this conceptual thing which he's talking about.
Yeah, I can also resonate with you, Meryl. We are more far better than like we were earlier before pandemic. So pandemic has given us, a lot of opportunities to improve ourselves in every aspect, health wise, money wise, everything.
So from what Meryl has shared, the idea I'm getting is, if we could really practice, maybe try getting into those shoes for a little while, those financial freedom shoes, if I may call them, for just a little while, and just do for one day, what are those absolute maybe 3 things that I will do because now I'm financially free, or what are those 3 things which I absolutely don't do, and this, I think, yeah, like before we get there, we try these little things and see how it feels like, and see what we come up with, to be able to even drop things which appear important but they are probably not. So I mean, my experience of, again, working from home has suddenly opened up, it's given me more time, and being in a different location. So thanks to pandemic, we get to experience this now, but yeah, just step into those financial freedom shoes and see what it's like. We should all try it. I don't even know, I'm saying it, but I don't even know what it really means. Okay. But yes, I think if Kaveri were here, then she would maybe share a few things. Ha, Kaveri?
She's listening. She's just holding on to her thoughts somehow.
Garima, you're saying that sleep and wake up when I want to a healthy breakfast.
Financial freedom. That's how I imagine it.
For a day, huh?
Just for a day. Just don't disturb me. कि अभी breakfast बनाना है, बच्चे को ही छोड़ना है, meeting है, login करना है. You know, then you're eating and you're on a call. You know.
So probably we have to go to the Himalayas in that case. Leaving family.
Maybe that is a state where we wake up and say that I don't have to go to a job to live the kind of life I want to live, you know.
Job, you know, I don't even have to think about how my household will run. Everything should be on autopilot. You know? Yeah, we can dream. It's right there.
My
It's
first
very hard to listen and not participate. This is really hard.
We are tempting you, Kaveri. Jump
I
in.
know, but I have to drive. But guys, okay, I will contribute later on the group.
Yes,
Please.
yes, drive safe. Renu, you were sharing something.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what Garima was telling, that putting everything in autopilot. So my first boss, what he used to say is like, as we have a good amount of leave, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, we can take leave at a stretch. So especially the officers are in a managerial position, what we do is we take all the burden on ourselves, and once we go on leave, things will fall back in such a way that 1 month nothing has happened, and you come back and you end up doing all the pending work of 1 month. But what my boss said is you have to put system in place that you should be as indispensable as possible. As dispensable as possible, that things should go on autopilot. If there is some work, this person has to do it, and you have to teach him how to do it, not end up doing everything on yourself. So I feel, I mean, it's not nothing related to this particular chapter, but I just thought I will share that.
No, that might have something to do with this chapter after all, is what I'm thinking from what you're sharing, right?
Yeah.
So how connect?
Like,
how it
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. The way we don't expect Priyanka to be here. She has put the system in place and it is running autopilot. The example.
Yes, the community is still running, but she doesn't need to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, we need that much of bank balance or the financial security to wake up and do and still get things done.
I think it's also about having the ability to delegate stuff, trust people that they will do it the best way possible, so that after getting financially free, at least from the accounting point of view, from a bank account point of view, you're financially free because now you have a lot of money, you can hire people. But if you don't have that ability in you to delegate work, then you will still end up doing things because you're crazy about, okay, I need to get things done my way. So I think this is also another attitude shift I will have to bring if I am that kind of a person who likes to, control my time and also control everything else in my life. Then there will be a problem, is what I guess. So thank you so much, Renu, for this insight.
That's very important. Yeah. Now when you clarified, Sheetal, that's a problem most women have, to let go of that control of household. So that's on the agenda next. So first financial freedom, then the art of delegation.
Also, one thing I noticed, right, is that in our workplaces, women get delegated at all these weird housekeeping type of jobs, like organize this party and then whatever, and then nobody, it's not considered, right, at all in your, how to say, like in your appraisal or whatever, right? So I think it's good to like just be very smart and just be evasive and just forget about all that. Like Naval's book keeps coming back to me, where he said like only do those things which only you can do, and no one, like, you can't be replaceable for doing things that you're unique at, right? So that really has hit me, and I've been like practicing a lot of that. So because of being able to practice that, you can just let go of these housekeeping things at work. And when I say housekeeping, not just organize a party, but like things like data entry and very manual, repetitive kind of tasks, right? So it's just best to like let it all go and only do like the badass stuff, I think.
Mm.
No, you're right, Meryl. That was a very different topic, I think, on gender, but that's very true. हम सारा काम ले लेते हैं, you know, set up the meeting, schedule the meeting, send out the minutes, or ensure the invoices are up, and we say yes. And then we add it to our mental to-do list, and then we get into the guilty mode. And I think that's what Renu or Sheetal, you know, when you say that, you know, we should just delegate. Even if you're taking it on yourself, delegate it to somebody to get it done. Don't have to be a smart project manager. You don't have to be the person actually doing the things physically. And most importantly, to those things, please say no. Or why don't you do it yourself? There's no harm in suggesting do it yourself.
Yeah, some women also delegate. So I just say no. Like, I mean, you don't even have to say no. You can give some excuse, some, you know, you got some caregiving responsibility or whatever. Like, you know, I would say like just be a bit shameless, you know.
Mm. So this also requires that we really stay connected with where we are headed, right? Because if I am, we all choose to do certain things because and we have our own reasons, right? But I think with all of these discussions, we're also trying to become more mindful about how we use our time, how we ensure that we use the resources well, be clear about where we're going, you know, because sometimes these can act as distractions as well. And really it's about chiseling our minds maybe more, you know. If I want to get to the next level at work, then what is going to get me there? It's more of, you know, how we use our intellect there, or whatever it takes, but really be mindful about how we are moving through the day, is what I'm getting from what you guys are also sharing. Yeah.
I think some of us, you know, I've seen women who will stand by the cook to tell her kaise khana banana hai. But once you've hired a cook, let her do the job. It'll take her maybe 2 or 3 days to get used to what you want, but give her the chance and let her do. I think somewhere, you know, we don't want to let go of the control also.
In that time, we can only cook instead of cook.
So that's another issue.
Controlling our time. So controlling our time, not controlling people, but how can we the owners of
Correct.
our time is what we're looking at. And, you know, nice thought.
I think also it has to do with the entrepreneurial mindset. You know, everyone's talking about how you tell someone who's delegating it to you and your boss, why not be the boss? If you are, financial freedom comes with also that entrepreneurial mindset where you set the thing. And if it's going to be too much of other people telling you what to do, then maybe this is not the job for you. Maybe you need to look at giving yourself a job. Don't worry, I'm at a traffic light.
Yeah, but sometimes, Kaveri, the bosses are also, since this is on live, I don't want to use a lot of adjectives, but let's face it, you know, you end up, but I think, we need to take that ownership back and be very polite and being very selfish in saying that, you know, this doesn't serve my purpose of my career aspiration or my growth. So, you know, why don't you delegate it to somebody else? And
yeah, I mean, I'm talking all this, but I have a one-person organization. There's nobody delegating to me, and there's nobody for me to delegate to. So I'm on a different planet there. But I feel like I need to also, the letting go would be to actually say, yes, I'm going to be financially free enough to pay someone else. I need to hire. That fear of hiring someone, because what if I can't pay the salary? That has to go. Come from a place of abundance.
I think that's another, we live in that insecurity that will I be able to pay? If not, what will happen? So it's both, it's a control and then security to be able to pay the other person. But we need to, so bottom line, we need to have the money.
and the time. But remember, don't forget again, how quickly we get to financial freedom also depends on our level of consumption, and which is where our whole enough decluttering, they really help, because financial
Define
freedom,
our enough.
yeah,
What is my enough?
I think it's also very much like Nemo, like money in and money out, right? Like there are so many adjustments you can make once you know, like how much you're earning and how much you're spending and what are the ways in which you can save. And like there's a way to apply that even to time, right? Because there's so much of housekeeping which we can probably immediately identify. And when I say housekeeping, I mean like some random person has dumped something on you, or like, at home there are a lot of things that we take extra time in. And there are ways, like one doesn't have to be, I feel, in that financially free place. It's more of a mindset to say, hey buddy, I only got so much time on earth, right?
Yeah.
And who knows when that's going to go bust. So yeah, I think that's also like maybe a mindset to be developed along with the financial mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset and all of that.
I highly recommend that this is not a fully made plan, but I recommend that we try on the tracking our time, and let's say just for a day, we just for a day we track our time, and also related to, because we're talking about financial freedom, then wherever I'm putting my time, is that taking me towards, is that aligned to me being financially free, so that we are just not tracking time as to I spend 30 minutes chatting with this person, but if chatting with that person also was intentional in, okay, I want to learn more about money, or that person was supposed to teach me a certain tool, but where I put my time, did it take me closer to financial freedom? This is just an idea and we can build on it. But how about we all take on in the book club doing this activity for a day, or maybe half a day, even half a day is fine. So yeah, I've never done it, so I want to try it, what insights I may draw. Sounds really yummy. What do you guys think?
Maybe not only financial freedom, is it, even if it's building into your emotional freedom, if it's enriching you in some way, or is it just meaningless? Because your mindset also depends a lot on your emotions, right? Yeah, so your where you are and how secure you are and all of that. So it builds, financial freedom is just one aspect of your freedom. Financial freedom, emotional freedom, generally freeing yourself up to be the best of what you want to be. So if it enrich, the activity you do may not directly work to your financial freedom, but the activity you do might enrich your outlook, might enrich your things, and eventually that will build up to a financial freedom. So let's just track it for a day and then see what added value and what didn't, maybe.
Got it. Or I may propose, thank you so much for that, Kaveri, that we do it on maybe separate days. One day we do only on financial freedom, because then it really helps us see that, right? Then there's no confusion that, okay, this, and then the other day we look at how did we grow as a person, or, the input that Kaveri has given. This is just so that there is no, we are absolutely clear that, okay, when I do this, it's about building myself financially, or and then eventually taking us closer to, I don't know how once we do it, we'll know the insights, the experiences we bring in. So yes, this is time and emotion study.
It sounds good. I mean, I to do it every day anyways, but I'd love to hear how.
You do it
And
like me more, right? Every day.
Tracker
The
as
time.
well.
I do it every day. Yeah, I do it every day, and it's really helped. Like I've started doing.
Share. Sorry to interrupt, but Meryl, I know you had shared the tracker as well. So please share for the benefit of everyone as to how we should approach this activity. And then everybody can choose. You do half a day, 2 days. Okay, well, we can't do it when we're sleeping. But so Meryl, please, over to you. Please share how you do it and how you feel we should approach this maybe.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll share it.
It's one of the sheets also in the gym structure. Now that I'm revising all of the structures, there's one sheet where you've written, does it help me in achieving my financial this is freedom?
Call the monthly tabulation sheet, Garima.
Yes. No, I deleted it smartly. I said I won't fill it up this month. So
no, you cannot skip the structures. No, you can't do that. So Meryl, could you share?
Yeah, I'll share it. And everyone can adapt it, to how they feel the top priorities in their life is. But like what I've done is I've got one column, which is like ROI, which is return on investment. It's not a financial thing specifically, but you know why you're doing that thing. That really helps.
Mm-hmm. I think this then connects very well with what Kaveri has said. You know what you're sharing there. Okay. Got it. But we got to be really honest, okay, guys? Yeah, we'll have to be true to ourselves, right? Honest with ourselves, yes. Awesome. So lovely discussion. We are down to the last 2 minutes now. The chapters are quite short. The next one is very short. Okay, so we go on till chapter 10. Shall we attempt till chapter 10? For this coming week, guys, everybody okay with that? All right, so we read till chapter 10. Keep sharing the insights. It can be a line from the book. It can be what those lines made you think of that you can share in the book club. It can be a picture you take of the text from the book and then you share it. Anything at all from the book that you want to share. And if there is something else that you're reading around money, it's okay to share the insights from those books as well. The context is the same. Women read, we embrace finance, we as we share, we inspire others to also read. So, and invite your friends as well to the Online Money Book Club. If you're here, that means you definitely are growing with this space. And we need to take finance to more women, exactly for the same reason we are here. We want to make more women experience financial education and really see the difference it makes in their lives. Okay, so each one standing up for another woman to be financially educated. So Nino, I will help you on how you can access the book. Thank you so much for being here. And we continue to read and share. And this week we are trying out the tracking finance. Well, we should give a fancy name to it. So if you have a fancy name for this activity, please do suggest in the book club. Okay. So thank you all again. Have a lovely weekend. And we will see you next week at 6 p.m. So take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye,
week.
everyone.